Every sleeping position and their effects explained.
Back sleeping, soldier position. You lie flat on your back, arms at your sides, staring at the ceiling like a corpse in a coffin. Sounds grim, but this might be the healthiest way to sleep. The soldier position keeps your spine completely neutral. No twisting, no bending, no weird angles. Your head, neck, and back form a straight line, which means less pressure on your joints and muscles. If you wake up with random aches and have no idea why, your sleep position is probably the problem. This one fixes that. There's more. Sleeping on your back prevents your face from smashing into a pillow all night. That constant pressure creates sleep wrinkles over time. Back sleepers age better. Their skin stays smoother longer. Dermatologists actually recommend this position for exactly that reason. But here's the catch. Back sleeping is terrible for snoring. When you lie flat, gravity pulls your tongue and soft tissues backward, partially blocking your airway. If you already snore, this makes it worse. If you have sleep apnea, this position is dangerous. Your breathing literally stops throughout the night. So yes, it's great for your spine and your face, just maybe not for your partner's sanity. Back sleeping. Starfish. The starfish is back sleeping's chaotic cousin. You're still on your back, but now your arms are up near your head and your legs spread out like you're making a snow angel in bed. The spine benefits are similar to the soldier position. Neutral alignment, reduced pressure, better posture over time. But the starfish adds a new problem: your shoulders. When your arms stay raised for hours, blood flow changes. Your shoulders rotate into an unnatural position. The muscles and tendons around your rotator cuff get compressed. Wake up enough times with numb arms or aching shoulders, and you'll realize the starfish isn't as relaxed as it looks. There's also the space issue. Starfish sleepers take up the entire bed. If you share that bed with someone, congratulations. You're now the reason they sleep on the edge, clinging to 6 inches of mattress while you sprawl like a starfish claiming territory. The snoring problem remains. Back sleeping plus an open mouth equals a symphony of noise that nobody asked for. This position works if you sleep alone, have healthy shoulders, and don't mind waking up with your arms feeling like they belong to someone else. Otherwise, maybe keep those arms down. Side sleeping, fetal position. The fetal position is the most popular sleeping position in the world. You curl up on your side, knees pulled toward your chest, like you're trying to return to the womb. There's something deeply comforting about it. Psychologists say it feels protective, safe, and it does have real benefits. Curling up opens your airway better than back sleeping. Snoring decreases. Sleep apnea symptoms improve. Your spine gets decent support if you have a good mattress. Pregnant women are told to sleep this way because it improves circulation. But here's where people mess it up. They curl too tight. When you pull your knees all the way to your chest and tuck your chin down, you restrict your diaphragm. Breathing gets shallow. Your lungs can't fully expand. You wake up tired even after 8 hours because your body never got enough oxygen. The tight curl also stresses your joints. Your spine rounds unnaturally. Your hips and knees stay flexed all night, leading to stiffness and pain in the morning. The older you get, the worse this becomes. The fix is simple. Curl loosely. Keep your body relaxed, not clenched. Let your legs bend naturally without pulling them up like you're bracing for impact. Side sleeping, log position. The log position sounds boring because it is. You sleep on your side with your arms straight down, legs extended, body rigid like an actual log. No curling, no bending, just a straight line from head to toe. This is one of the healthiest positions you can sleep in. Your spine stays aligned. The natural curve of your back is supported. There's no pressure on your internal organs. Breathing stays easy because your airway remains open. Sleep apnea symptoms drop significantly compared to back sleeping. The log position also helps with digestion. Sleeping on your side, especially your left side, lets gravity assist your digestive system. Food moves through more efficiently. Acid reflux decreases because your stomach sits below your esophagus. The downside is arm numbness. When you lie directly on your arm for hours, blood flow gets cut off. You wake up with that dead arm feeling, pins and needles shooting through your fingers. It's not dangerous, but it's annoying. Some people also experience shoulder pain over time. The pressure concentrates on one side of your body all night. If your mattress is too firm, your shoulder takes the hit. Solution? Switch sides throughout the night. The log works. Just rotate it occasionally. Side sleeping, yearner. The yearner looks like you're reaching for something in your sleep. You lie on your side with both arms stretched out in front of you, like a zombie or someone dramatically longing for a lost lover. Spine alignment stays decent in this position. Your back remains relatively neutral, and your airway stays open.
The benefits of side sleeping still apply. Reduced snoring, better breathing, improved digestion. But those outstretched arms create problems. Shoulder strain is the big one. Your arms spend hours extended forward, pulling your shoulder joints out of their natural resting position. The muscles around your shoulders and upper back tighten. You wake up with stiffness that takes half the morning to work out. Nerve compression is another issue. The arm underneath you gets squeezed against the mattress. Blood flow decreases. Nerves get pinched. That tingling, numb feeling becomes a regular part of waking up. There's also research suggesting the yearner position restricts blood flow to the heart slightly, though this matters more for people with existing cardiovascular issues. If you naturally sleep this way, try placing a pillow in front of you to rest your arms on. It reduces shoulder strain and keeps your arms elevated enough to maintain circulation. Small adjustment, big difference. Left side versus right side. Not all side sleeping is equal. Which side you choose actually matters, and most people have no idea. Left side sleeping is almost always better. Here's why. Your stomach and pancreas sit on the left side of your body. When you sleep on your left, gravity helps your digestive system work more efficiently. Food moves through your intestines easier. Your body literally digests better while you sleep. Acid reflux is another big factor. Your esophagus connects to your stomach on the right side. When you sleep on your left, your stomach sits below that connection point. Acid has to fight gravity to reach your throat. Sleep on your right, and gravity helps acid travel upward. Heartburn gets worse. For pregnant women, left side sleeping improves blood flow to the uterus and kidneys. Doctors specifically recommend it during pregnancy. So what's wrong with the right side? Beyond the digestion and reflux issues, sleeping on your right puts more pressure on your liver and lungs. It's not dangerous for healthy people, but it's suboptimal. The exception is heart conditions. Some people with heart failure feel better sleeping on their right side because it reduces pressure on the heart. For everyone else, go left. Your gut will thank you. Stomach sleeping, free fall. Stomach sleeping is the worst position for your body. Sorry, there's no nice way to say it. In the free fall position, you lie face down with your arms wrapped around or under your pillow, head turned to one side. It feels comfortable to some people. It's destroying their spine. The problem is your neck. Humans aren't designed to sleep with their head rotated 90 degrees for 8 hours. Your cervical spine twists unnaturally. The muscles on one side stretch, while the other side compresses. Do this every night, and you'll develop chronic neck pain, headaches, and nerve issues. Your lower back suffers too. When you lie on your stomach, your spine loses its natural curve. The middle of your body sinks into the mattress, creating a constant arch. Over time, this leads to lower back pain that never goes away. Breathing is also harder. Your chest presses into the mattress, restricting lung expansion. Your body works harder to breathe all night. The only benefit? Stomach sleeping can reduce snoring because your airway stays more open than when you're on your back. But that single benefit doesn't outweigh the damage. If you're a stomach sleeper, start training yourself to switch. Your future self will thank you. Pillow hugging. Some people can't sleep without holding something. A pillow, a stuffed animal, a bunched up blanket. They clutch it all night like it's going to run away. This isn't just emotional comfort. It actually helps your body. When you hug a pillow while side sleeping, it keeps your arms in a neutral position. Instead of your top arm flopping across your chest or hanging awkwardly, it rests on the pillow. Shoulder strain decreases, spine alignment improves because your upper body stays balanced. There's also a psychological component. Physical contact, even with an object, triggers the release of oxytocin. That's the same hormone released during hugging, cuddling, and bonding. Your nervous system calms down, stress decreases, falling asleep becomes easier. For people who sleep alone, pillow hugging fills a physical gap. The pressure against your chest mimics the sensation of another person. It sounds sad, but it works.
sleep quality genuinely improves. The downside is minimal.
Some people grip too tightly and wake up with arm fatigue. Others use pillows that are too thick, throwing off their shoulder position. The fix is simple. Use a pillow sized appropriately for hugging, not your main head pillow. Hold it loosely. Let it support you without creating tension. Combination sleepers. Some people don't stay in one position. They shift constantly, rotating between back, side, and stomach throughout the night. These are combination sleepers, and their bodies might be smarter than they realize. Staying in one position all night creates sustained pressure on specific body parts. Blood flow decreases to compressed areas. Muscles stiffen. Moving throughout the night redistributes that pressure. It's your body self-correcting to prevent damage. Combination sleeping can also help you get benefits of multiple positions. You might start on your back for spine alignment, shift to your side when you start snoring, and end up in a loose fetal position for comfort. Your body adapts. But there's a downside. Frequent position changes can disrupt deep sleep. Every time you move, your brain partially awakens to coordinate the shift. You might not remember these micro-awakenings, but they fragment your sleep cycles. You wake up feeling less rested. The key is balance. Some movement is good. Constant thrashing is not. If you're changing positions every few minutes, something else might be wrong. An uncomfortable mattress, unresolved pain, or anxiety keeping your body restless. Listen to your body. Move when you need to. Just don't turn sleep into a gymnastics routine. Elevated and inclined sleeping. Sleeping flat isn't always the answer. Sometimes, raising your upper body changes everything. Elevated sleeping means propping yourself up at an angle, usually between 30 and 45 degrees. You can use a wedge pillow, an adjustable bed, or just stack regular pillows. The goal is keeping your head and chest higher than your stomach. This position is a game changer for acid reflux. When you lie flat, stomach acid can easily flow into your esophagus. Raise your upper body, and gravity keeps that acid where it belongs. People with GERD often see their symptoms disappear just by sleeping inclined. Sleep apnea improves too. The elevated angle keeps your airway more open. Your tongue and soft tissues are less likely to collapse backward. Breathing stays easier throughout the night. Congestion clears faster when you're elevated. Anyone who's had a cold knows that lying flat makes your nose stuff up worse. Inclined sleeping lets your sinuses drain. There are downsides. Sleeping at an angle feels unnatural at first. Some people slide down during the night and wake up flat anyway. Lower back pressure can increase if the angle is too steep. But for the right conditions, elevated sleeping isn't just comfortable, it's therapeutic. Sometimes the best sleep position isn't horizontal. Every type of dream and what they mean. Falling. You're plummeting through empty space. Wind rushing past. Ground approaching. Then you jolt awake, heart pounding, sheets twisted around you. Falling dreams are among the most common nightmares, and they usually signal one thing: loss of control. Something in your waking life feels unstable. Maybe your job is uncertain. Maybe a relationship is slipping away. Maybe you've taken on more than you can handle, and the ground beneath you feels shaky. The psychology here is straightforward. When your brain processes anxiety during sleep, it reaches for physical metaphors. And what better metaphor for losing your grip on life than literally losing your grip on solid ground? The intensity of the fall often correlates with the intensity of your anxiety. A gentle floating descent might indicate mild unease. A terrifying free fall suggests something bigger is eating at you. Here's the interesting part. Some researchers believe falling dreams occur during the transition between wakefulness and sleep, when your muscles suddenly relax and your brain interprets this as actual falling. Your mind creates a narrative to explain the sensation. Either way, falling dreams are your psyche's alarm system telling you something needs attention. Flying. Flying dreams feel different from other dreams. There's a lightness to them, a sense of possibility. You're soaring above everything that normally weighs you down. When you dream of flying, your subconscious is usually expressing one of two things: freedom or ambition. Either you're celebrating an escape from limitations, or you're reaching for something higher than your current reality allows. The details matter. Are you flying effortlessly, gliding through clear skies? That suggests confidence and optimism. You feel capable of achieving your goals.
Are you struggling to stay airborne? Barely clearing obstacles? That points to ambition mixed with doubt. You want to rise, but something keeps pulling you down. Flying dreams often appear during periods of transition. New jobs, new relationships, new chapters of life. Your brain is processing the exhilaration and terror of change simultaneously. Some people can turn flying dreams into lucid dreams, becoming aware they're dreaming while still inside the experience. Once you realize you're flying in a dream, you can often control the flight. This sensation of control within the dream can actually build confidence that carries into waking life. Your brain practices success while you sleep. Being chased. Something is pursuing you. You don't know what it is, but you know it's dangerous. Your legs feel heavy. No matter how fast you run, the threat gets closer. Being chased is one of the most universal dream experiences, crossing cultures and centuries. And the meaning is almost always the same. You're running from something in your waking life that you don't want to face. The pursuer in your dream often represents whatever you're avoiding. It might be a difficult conversation, a responsibility you've been neglecting, an emotion you've been suppressing. Your subconscious knows you can't outrun it forever, so it forces you to experience the chase night after night until you turn around and confront it. Pay attention to what's chasing you. If it's a person, consider who in your life represents pressure or threat. If it's a monster or shadowy figure, you might be running from a part of yourself you don't want to acknowledge. The chase usually ends one of two ways. Either you wake up before being caught, or you're caught and discover the threat wasn't as terrifying as you feared. Both outcomes contain lessons. Sometimes running is futile. Sometimes the thing chasing you just needs to be faced. Showing up naked. You're in a crowded room, a meeting, a classroom, a public space, and suddenly you realize you're completely naked. Everyone can see you. There's nowhere to hide. Nakedness dreams tap into our deepest fears about vulnerability and exposure. We all have parts of ourselves we keep hidden, aspects we don't want others to see. These dreams surface when that protective barrier feels threatened. The context reveals the specific anxiety. Naked at work? You might fear your professional competence being questioned. Naked at a social event? You might worry about social acceptance. The location tells you which area of life feels most exposed. Interestingly, how others react in the dream matters as much as your own nakedness. If dream characters don't notice or don't care, your subconscious might be telling you that your fears of judgment are overblown. Nobody's scrutinizing you as closely as you think. If they're laughing or pointing, you're processing genuine experiences of embarrassment or shame. Some cultures interpret nakedness dreams positively, as symbols of authenticity and truth, stripping away pretense to reveal the real self. The interpretation depends on how the dream makes you feel. Taking an exam. You're sitting in a classroom. An exam paper lands in front of you. You look at the questions and realize you haven't studied. You don't even recognize the subject. Time is running out. Exam dreams persist long after school ends. Adults who haven't taken a test in decades still dream about failing them. The classroom becomes a theater where your subconscious stages anxieties about performance and judgment. These dreams typically appear during periods of evaluation, job reviews, important presentations, any situation where your competence will be measured. Your brain knows the stakes and rehearses the worst-case scenario while you sleep. The specifics vary, but the feeling stays constant: unpreparedness. You had time to study but didn't. You knew this was coming but ignored it. The dream forces you to confront the gap between what you should have done and what you actually did. Here's the twist. Exam dreams rarely mean you're actually unprepared. More often, they reflect imposter syndrome, the nagging belief that you don't deserve your success and will eventually be exposed. High achievers have these dreams more frequently than underperformers. Your anxiety about failing is often inversely related to your actual likelihood of failure. Losing teeth. Your teeth are crumbling, falling out one by one. You spit them into your hand and watch in horror as more come loose. You can feel the gaps with your tongue. Teeth dreams are viscerally disturbing in a way other dreams aren't. They tap into something primal, something connected to our physical sense of self, and they're remarkably common across every culture studied. The interpretations vary, but most cluster around a few themes: anxiety about appearance, fear of aging, and loss of power. Teeth represent how we present ourselves to the world, our smile, our bite, our ability to consume and process what life gives us. When they fall out in dreams, something about our self-image feels threatened. Some psychologists connect teeth dreams to communication anxiety. Teeth shape our speech. Losing them could symbolize fear of saying the wrong thing or not being able to say anything at all. Others link these dreams to major life transitions, moments when we're shedding an old identity and haven't yet grown into the new one, like losing baby teeth before adult teeth emerge. The loss feels catastrophic in the moment, but precedes growth. Meeting a celebrity. You're having a conversation with someone famous, a movie star, a musician, an athlete. They're treating you like an equal, maybe even like a friend. The encounter feels significant. Celebrity dreams reveal something about our relationship with recognition and status. The famous person in your dream usually represents qualities you admire or aspire to possess. Meeting them symbolizes your desire to embody those qualities yourself. Pay attention to which celebrity appears. If you dream of meeting a brilliant scientist, you might crave intellectual recognition. If it's a beloved actor, perhaps you want to be seen and appreciated. The specific person is a projection of specific aspirations. Sometimes celebrity dreams are simpler. Media saturation means famous faces populate our mental landscape. We see them constantly, so they appear in our dreams naturally. But even then, your subconscious chose that particular celebrity for a reason. The nature of your interaction matters. Are you equals in the dream? That suggests confidence in your own worth. Are you starstruck and awkward? You might feel unworthy of the success you desire. Is the celebrity dismissive or cruel? You could be processing fears of rejection by those you admire. Visiting familiar places. You're back in your childhood home. Walking through halls you haven't walked in years. Everything is exactly as you remember, or slightly different in ways you can't quite identify. Dreams of familiar places pull us backward through time. These locations aren't random. They're stages where significant memories were formed. Returning to them in dreams means your subconscious is processing something connected to that period of your life. The childhood home appears most frequently. This makes sense. It's where your personality was formed, where your first experiences of safety and danger occurred. When life feels uncertain, your dreaming mind returns to the original template. It's looking for reference points. Schools, old workplaces, former neighborhoods. Each carries its own emotional weight. The place itself is less important than what it represents. A school might symbolize learning and growth, or it might represent feeling tested and judged. Your personal history with that location determines its meaning. Notice the condition of these places in your dreams. Are they well maintained or falling apart? Are rooms where you remember warmth now cold and empty? The state of the dream location often reflects your current relationship with that chapter of your life. Death or dying. You witness your own death, or someone you love dies, or death is simply present, hovering at the edges of the dream. You wake up shaken, mortality suddenly real. Death dreams terrify us because we assume they're predictive. They're not. Dreaming of death almost never means actual death is coming. Instead, death in dreams represents transformation, endings that make room for beginnings. When you dream of your own death, your subconscious is processing a major identity shift. The person you were is dying, so the person you're becoming can emerge. New job, new relationship, new phase of life. The old self must be released. Dreaming of someone else's death is trickier to interpret. Sometimes it reflects genuine fear of losing them. Sometimes that person represents a quality or relationship pattern that's ending in your life. Their dream death marks the death of what they symbolize. The type of death matters. Peaceful deaths suggest acceptance of change. Violent deaths indicate resistance or fear. Being unable to prevent a death points to feelings of helplessness about changes beyond your control. These dreams are invitations to examine what's ending and what's beginning. Death is rarely the full story. Something always follows. Repeating dreams. The same dream keeps coming back, night after night, week after week, sometimes for years. Same scenario, same feelings, same unresolved ending.
Repeating dreams are the most persistent messages your subconscious sends. If a dream recurs, your psyche is trying to tell you something important, something you haven't yet understood or addressed in waking life. The repetition itself is significant. Your brain doesn't waste energy on irrelevant processing. If it keeps generating the same dream, the underlying issue remains unresolved. The dream will continue until you decode its message and take action. Common repeating dreams include being chased, falling, teeth falling out, and showing up unprepared. Each points to persistent life patterns. Chronic anxiety, ongoing feelings of inadequacy, situations you keep finding yourself in without knowing why. The key to stopping a repeating dream is understanding what it's asking of you. What problem does it highlight? What emotion does it evoke? What would need to change in your waking life for this dream to become unnecessary? Some people find that simply acknowledging the dream's message reduces its frequency. Your subconscious finally feels heard. The urgent repetition can stop because the communication succeeded. The dream did its job. Common sleep mistakes and how to fix them. Inconsistent sleep schedule. You wake up at 6 a.m., Monday through Friday, then the weekend hits and suddenly you're sleeping until noon. It feels like freedom. It's actually sabotage. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, an internal clock that regulates when you feel awake and when you feel tired. This clock expects consistency. When you shift your sleep schedule by 4 or 5 hours on weekends, you're essentially giving yourself jet lag without leaving your time zone. Researchers call it social jet lag, and it's making millions of people exhausted. The fix is boring but effective. Wake up within an hour of the same time every day, including weekends. Yes, even if you stayed up late, your body will adjust. You'll start feeling tired at appropriate times instead of lying awake until 2 a.m. wondering why you can't sleep. The first few weekends will feel punishing. You'll want to sleep in, but after a few weeks of consistency, something shifts. You'll actually feel rested. You'll stop needing 3 alarms. Your body will know when to sleep and when to wake without forcing it. Screen time before bed. You're scrolling through your phone in bed. The room is dark except for that glowing rectangle inches from your face. Your brain has no idea it's supposed to be winding down. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. Your phone, tablet, laptop, and TV all emit this light. When you stare at screens before bed, you're chemically signaling to your brain that it's still daytime. Your body delays sleep preparation because it thinks the sun is still up. The standard advice is to stop screen use an hour before bed. Most people ignore this. If you won't quit screens entirely, at least enable night mode, which reduces blue light emission. It's not perfect, but it helps. The deeper problem isn't just the light, it's the stimulation. Social media, news, emails, these keep your mind active when it should be slowing down. Your brain doesn't transition from doom scrolling to deep sleep instantly. It needs a buffer. Try reading a physical book instead. Boring, maybe, but effective. Your ancestors didn't have insomnia because they were anxious about their Instagram engagement. Sleeping in a warm room, your body needs to drop its core temperature to initiate sleep. This is non-negotiable biology. When your bedroom is too warm, you're fighting against the very mechanism that makes sleep possible. The ideal bedroom temperature for most people is between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cooler than most people keep their homes. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but your sleep quality will improve dramatically. Here's what happens when you sleep too warm. You toss and turn because your body can't regulate temperature properly. You wake up more frequently. You spend less time in deep sleep and REM sleep, the stages that actually restore you. You might sleep 8 hours and still feel exhausted because the quality was terrible. The fix is simple. Turn down the thermostat at night. Use breathable bedding if you share a bed with someone who runs cold. Get separate blankets rather than compromising on room temperature. A cool room with warm blankets is the optimal setup. Your body can regulate by sticking a foot out or pulling covers closer. A warm room gives you no options. Caffeine too late. That afternoon, coffee feels necessary. By 2 p.m., you're dragging, so you grab another cup to power through. 8 hours later, you're staring at the ceiling wondering why you can't fall asleep. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours in most people. That means if you drink a cup of coffee at 4 p.m., half the caffeine is still in your system at 10 p.m. A quarter remains at 4 a.m. You might fall asleep eventually, but caffeine disrupts sleep architecture even when you don't feel awake. Deep sleep suffers. You wake up tired despite getting enough hours.
The general rule is to cut off caffeine by early afternoon. Noon is ideal for most people. 2 p.m. at the latest. This includes all sources: coffee, tea, energy drinks, pre-workout supplements, even chocolate in large amounts. If you're dependent on afternoon caffeine to function, that's a sign your sleep is already compromised. You're caught in a cycle. Bad sleep leads to caffeine, which leads to worse sleep, which requires more caffeine. Breaking the cycle feels terrible for about a week. Then you stop needing the afternoon hit because you're actually rested. Eating right before bed, you eat a big dinner at 9 p.m., then try to sleep at 10. Your body has a choice: digest or sleep. It can't do both well. Digestion is an active process. Your body diverts resources to break down food, generates heat, and keeps systems running that should be powering down. Eating close to bedtime, especially heavy or spicy meals, almost guarantees disrupted sleep. You might not wake up fully, but you'll cycle through sleep stages poorly. The ideal cutoff is 2 to 3 hours before bed. This gives your body time to handle the bulk of digestion before sleep begins. A small snack is fine if you're genuinely hungry, but a full meal is sabotage. Acid reflux compounds the problem. Lying down with a full stomach pushes acid toward your esophagus. You might wake up with heartburn or simply experience fragmented sleep without knowing why. If your schedule forces late eating, keep it light. Avoid heavy proteins and fats that take longest to digest. And never go to bed stuffed. Your body will prioritize the food over the sleep, and you'll pay for it tomorrow. Hitting snooze. The alarm goes off, you hit snooze, 9 minutes later it goes off again, you hit snooze. This repeats until you absolutely must get up and you feel worse than if you'd just gotten up the first time. Those 9-minute snooze cycles are doing real damage. When you fall back asleep after the alarm, you're initiating a new sleep cycle that you'll never complete. You enter light sleep, maybe start drifting deeper, then get yanked out again. This fragments your sleep architecture and leaves you groggier than simply getting less sleep would. The grogginess you feel after snoozing has a name: sleep inertia. It's the fog of being pulled from sleep mid-cycle. Hitting snooze multiple times maximizes sleep inertia. You're giving yourself the worst possible start to the day. The fix is to set your alarm for when you actually need to wake up and get up immediately. No negotiations. Feet on the floor. If you need motivation, put your alarm across the room so you have to physically get up to silence it. It feels brutal at first. Then your body adjusts. Mornings become less painful because you're not repeatedly traumatizing yourself awake. Alcohol as a sleep aid. A nightcap helps you relax. You fall asleep faster. This seems like evidence that alcohol helps sleep. The evidence is misleading. Alcohol is a sedative. It does help you fall asleep faster. But sedation is not the same as sleep. Once alcohol is in your system, your sleep architecture falls apart. REM sleep, the stage critical for memory and emotional processing, gets suppressed. You wake up more frequently even if you don't remember it. Deep sleep suffers in the second half of the night as your body processes the alcohol. You might sleep 8 hours after drinking and feel like you got 4. That's because you did, functionally. The time spent unconscious wasn't quality sleep. The more you rely on alcohol for sleep, the worse it gets. Your body adjusts, requiring more to achieve the same sedative effect while the sleep disruption compounds. If you drink, stop at least 3 hours before bed to give your body time to metabolize the alcohol. Better yet, don't use alcohol as a sleep tool at all. A glass with dinner is different from a drink specifically to help you sleep. One is social, the other is self-medication. Exercising too late. Exercise is great for sleep, except when you do it at the wrong time. Then it's a stimulant that keeps you wired when you should be winding down. Physical activity raises cortisol and adrenaline, hormones that make you alert. It also raises your core body temperature. Both need to drop for sleep to begin. If you finish an intense workout at 9 p.m. and try to sleep at 10, your body hasn't had time to reverse the physiological arousal. Morning and afternoon exercise generally enhance sleep. Your body has hours to cool down and shift from activation to recovery. Evening exercise can work if it's gentle, like yoga or light stretching. But high-intensity training within 3 hours of bed is usually a mistake. Everyone's different. Some people genuinely can exercise late and sleep fine. But if you're struggling with sleep and working out in the evening, try shifting your workout earlier. It's one of the easiest variables to test. The best exercise for sleep is the exercise you'll actually do, But timing matters. Give your body time to transition from performance mode to rest mode. Napping too long or too late. Naps can restore you or destroy your nighttime sleep. The difference is timing and duration. A short nap, 20 to 30 minutes in the early afternoon, can boost alertness without affecting nighttime sleep. You wake up before entering deep sleep, so there's no grogginess. Your sleep drive, the pressure that builds the longer you're awake, doesn't fully reset. Problems start when naps extend beyond 30 minutes or happen too late in the day. Long naps push you into deep sleep. Waking from deep sleep causes intense grogginess that can last hours. Late naps reduce your sleep drive so much that you're not tired at bedtime. You lie awake, finally fall asleep late, wake up exhausted, and need another nap. The cycle continues. If you must nap, set a timer for 25 minutes. Nap before 3 p.m. Any later, and you're borrowing against tonight's sleep. Some people shouldn't nap at all. If you have insomnia, napping perpetuates it by reducing sleep pressure. Tough it out during the day, build up sleep drive, and you'll sleep better at night. Short-term pain for long-term gain. Sleeping with lights on. Total darkness isn't just comfortable. It's biologically necessary for optimal sleep. Even small amounts of light can suppress melatonin production and disrupt sleep architecture. Your body detects light through your eyelids. That night light, the LED on your TV, the glow from your phone charger, these all register. Your brain interprets any light as a signal that it's not fully nighttime. Melatonin production decreases accordingly. Studies show that sleeping with even dim light exposure reduces time spent in deep sleep and REM sleep. Participants felt less restored despite sleeping the same number of hours. Light exposure during sleep has also been linked to increased rates of depression and metabolic issues. The fix is aggressive darkness. Blackout curtains, tape over LED indicators, phone face down or in another room. If you can see your hand in front of your face, it's too bright. If complete darkness feels uncomfortable or unsafe, use a red-tinted nightlight. Red light has the least impact on melatonin, but true darkness remains ideal. You evolved to sleep when the sun went down. Recreate those conditions and your body responds. Using bed for everything, your bed should mean one thing to your brain: sleep. If you also use it for working, watching TV, scrolling social media, and eating, your brain stops associating it with rest. This is called stimulus control. Your environment triggers behavior. A desk triggers work mode. A couch triggers relaxation. When you do everything in bed, your brain doesn't know what mode to enter. You lie down to sleep and your brain thinks maybe it's time to check email. The fix is ruthlessly simple. Bed is for sleep and intimacy only. Everything else happens elsewhere. Watch TV on the couch, work at a desk, scroll your phone in any room except the bedroom. If you live in a studio apartment, this gets harder but stays important. Create visual separation. Use screens in a chair, not in bed. Make the bed feel distinct from other activities, even if it's in the same room. This takes time to establish. Your brain builds its current associations over years. But after a few weeks of strict bed-for-sleep-only behavior, the association strengthens. Lying down starts triggering drowsiness instead of alertness. Your bed becomes a sleep tool instead of a multi-purpose surface. Ignoring sleep debt, you got 5 hours Monday through Thursday. Friday night, you sleep 12 hours. Debt repaid. Right. Wrong. Sleep debt doesn't work like financial debt. You can't accumulate a deficit and pay it back with one big deposit. The damage from sleep deprivation accumulates in ways that weekend catch-up can't reverse. Chronic sleep deprivation affects cognitive function, immune health, hormone regulation, and emotional stability. These effects don't vanish because you slept on Saturday. Studies show that recovery from sleep debt takes far longer than the debt itself. A week of 5-hour nights might require weeks of adequate sleep to fully reverse. Weekend recovery sleep also disrupts your circadian rhythm, making Monday even harder. You've shifted your schedule, induced social jet lag, and now face the week in worse shape than before. The only real solution is consistent, adequate sleep most nights. 7 to 9 hours for adults, with remarkable consistency and timing. You can't cheat the system. If you must choose between a few extra hours during the week or a big weekend catch-up, choose the weekday hours. Gradual is better than binge. Sleep isn't a resource you can stockpile or recover in lump sums. Overthinking in bed. You lie down. Your body is tired. Then your brain starts reviewing every mistake you've ever made, projecting future catastrophes, and composing arguments for conversations that will never happen. Sleep becomes impossible. Anxious thoughts at bedtime are incredibly common. The quiet darkness removes distractions, leaving your mind free to spiral. The more you try to force sleep, the more anxious you become about not sleeping, which makes sleep even harder. It's a trap. The counterintuitive solution is to get up. If you've been lying awake for 20 minutes, leave the bed, go to another room, do something calm and boring in dim light, read something uninteresting. Only return to bed when you feel genuinely drowsy. This breaks the association between bed and anxious wakefulness. Bed should trigger sleep, not rumination. By leaving when sleep won't come, you protect that association. For chronic overthinkers, pre-bed brain dumps help. Write down everything swirling in your head before getting into bed. Tasks, worries, random thoughts. Get them out of your brain and onto paper. Your mind can let go more easily when it knows the information is captured somewhere. Wrong pillow or mattress. You can do everything else right and still sleep poorly because your bed itself is the problem. Bad sleep surfaces create misalignment, pressure points, and discomfort that fragments sleep without waking you fully. Your spine should maintain neutral alignment while sleeping. If your pillow is too high or too flat, your neck bends unnaturally. If your mattress is too soft or too firm for your body type and sleep position, your back suffers. You might not wake up with obvious pain, but you'll wake up unrefreshed. Pillows should be replaced every 1 to 2 years. They lose support, accumulate dust mites, and stop doing their job. Mattresses last longer, but not forever. If yours is more than 7 to 10 years old, it's probably compromising your sleep. Testing matters more than price. An expensive mattress that's wrong for your body is worse than a cheap one that works. Side sleepers need different support than back sleepers. Heavy people need different firmness than light people. Don't underestimate this variable. You spend a third of your life on this surface. Investing in correct sleep equipment pays dividends every single night. Forcing 8 hours is the standard recommendation. It's also oversimplified to the point of being misleading. Sleep needs vary significantly between individuals, and chasing a number can backfire. Some adults function optimally on 7 hours. Others genuinely need 9. Genetic variations affect sleep requirements. So do age, activity level, and health status. The person who needs 7 hours will lie awake anxious if they force themselves to bed early enough for 8. The person who needs 9 will be chronically underslept if they limit themselves to 8. The goal isn't a specific number. It's waking up feeling rested without an alarm. If you consistently wake up before your alarm refreshed, you found your number. If you need multiple alarms and still feel exhausted, you need more sleep or better quality sleep. Experiment for yourself. Track how you feel with different amounts. Pay attention to natural wake times on days without obligations. Your body knows what it needs better than any general guideline. Sleep quality matters more than quantity anyway. 6 hours of deep, uninterrupted sleep often beats 8 hours of fragmented, poor quality sleep. Optimize for how you feel, not how long you are in bed. Every sleep glitch you might experience. Hypnic jerk. You're drifting off, everything is quiet, and then your entire body slams awake like you just missed a step on a staircase. That's a hypnic jerk, and it happens to around 70% of people, which means it's not a problem. It's just your brain being weird during the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Here's what's actually happening. As you fall asleep, your muscles begin to relax. Your brain, which is also powering down, sometimes misreads that sudden loss of muscle tone as falling. So it fires a jolt of electricity through your body to catch you. Emergency response. Completely unnecessary. Some researchers think it's an evolutionary leftover from when our ancestors slept in trees. A sudden drop in muscle tension while up high would have been genuinely dangerous. The jerk kept them from falling out. Your bed is on the ground. Your brain didn't get the memo. Stress, caffeine, and sleep deprivation make them worse. Not because something is wrong, but because an overstimulated brain makes more mistakes during shutdown. It's harmless. It's common. It's still annoying every single time. Sleep inertia. Your alarm goes off, you turn it off, you attempt to function like a human being, and for the next 10 to 30 minutes, you basically can't. That's sleep inertia, the technical term for the period of impaired cognition, slowed reaction times, and general brain deadness immediately after waking. Here's the thing. Waking up is not instant. Your brain doesn't go from fully asleep to fully operational in a single step. Cerebral blood flow is still low. Adenosine, a chemical that builds up during wakefulness and drives sleepiness, hasn't cleared yet. Your prefrontal cortex, which handles decision-making and rational thought, is one of the last regions to come back online. The result is that for a window after waking, your cognitive performance is measurably worse than if you had stayed awake all night. Surgeons woken from sleep to perform emergency procedures have documented this. Pilots have crashed planes in this window. It usually clears in 15 to 30 minutes for most people. It can last up to 4 hours after forced awakening from deep sleep. So, when you make a terrible decision first thing in the morning, it might not be you. It might just be that your brain was still technically asleep. False awakening. You wake up, get out of bed, walk to the bathroom, start getting ready, and then you actually wake up. False awakenings are exactly what they sound like. You dream that you've woken up and begun your day with enough realism that you have no idea you're still asleep. Sometimes it happens multiple times in a row, a loop of fake mornings before the real one. They occur most often during REM sleep, which is when dreaming is most vivid and the brain most closely mimics waking consciousness. The brain runs such a convincing simulation of your bedroom and morning routine that it fools itself. The experience is heavily associated with sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming, and tends to cluster when sleep is disrupted, irregular, or when the person has been actively thinking about sleep and dreaming before bed. What makes false awakenings unsettling isn't the experience itself. It's the unreliability of waking up. If it's happened once, there's a moment in the real morning where you can't be entirely sure this one is real either. Some lucid dreamers use them as an entry point. If you're experienced enough to recognize the signs inside the dream, a false awakening can be converted into a fully conscious, controlled dream. Most people just find them disorienting. Sleep talking. You're completely unconscious, your brain is partially cycling through sleep stages, and apparently you have some things to say. Sleep talking, formerly called somniloquy, affects around 66% of people at some point in their lives. It's most common in children and tends to decrease with age, though plenty of adults do it too, often without knowing. The content is almost always meaningless. Fragments, half sentences, occasional words delivered with complete conviction. Rarely coherent enough to hold a conversation with, though people do try and sometimes get responses that sound almost logical. It happens across multiple sleep stages, not just REM. During lighter stages, it can sound relatively clear. During deep, slow-wave sleep, it tends to be more garbled and emotionally flat. Here's the question everyone wants answered. Can you extract real information from someone talking in their sleep? Almost never. The content doesn't reliably reflect actual thoughts, memories, or secrets. The brain isn't running a conscious monologue. It's producing verbal fragments from partially active networks. It's more common during periods of stress, fever, sleep deprivation, and in people who also sleepwalk. It's not harmful. It's not a sign of anything wrong. It's just your brain leaving its microphone on. Hypnagogic hallucinations. You're not asleep yet, but you're seeing things. Hypnagogic hallucinations are sensory experiences that occur during the transition from wakefulness into sleep. Visual ones are most common. Flashes of light, faces, landscapes, geometric patterns that appear behind closed eyes. But they can be auditory too. Hearing your name called, a sudden sound, a voice saying something just coherent enough to be unsettling. They happen because the brain doesn't switch cleanly between states, as it starts generating the neural activity associated with dreaming. While the conscious mind is still partially online, those signals bleed through. You're awake enough to experience them, but not awake enough to immediately dismiss them. Around 70% of people report experiencing these at some point. They're strongly associated with sleep deprivation, which makes the transition into sleep faster and less controlled. Here's the trap. Because they can be extremely vivid and occur right at the edge of sleep, people sometimes misremember them as things that actually happened. You heard something, you saw something. Your brain just doesn't correctly timestamp it as a hallucination rather than a real event. They're also a core component of sleep paralysis episodes, which is where they stop being interesting and start being terrifying. Hypnopompic hallucinations. Same experience, different direction. These happen as you're waking up rather than falling asleep. Hypnopompic hallucinations occur as the brain transitions from REM sleep back to wakefulness, and the dreaming circuitry doesn't fully shut off before consciousness returns. The result is that dream content, visual, auditory, sometimes tactile, bleeds into the waking world. You might see a figure in the room, a spider on the wall, hear a voice or a sound, and unlike the pre-sleep version, you're conscious enough to be genuinely alarmed because it looks and feels exactly like something real. They typically last seconds, occasionally a minute or two, and they vanish the moment the brain fully transitions to wakefulness. Around 12% of people experience these regularly. They're more common in people with narcolepsy, irregular sleep schedules, and high stress. What makes them clinically interesting is how convincingly real they appear. Unlike most dreams, which are processed as dreams even while you're in them, hypnopompic hallucinations are indistinguishable from reality in the moment. The brain's reality checking systems are still coming back online. There's a gap where the hallucination is all there is. Sleep paralysis, you wake up and you cannot move. Not stiff, not groggy, completely paralyzed. And there is something in the room. Sleep paralysis occurs when remitonia, the mechanism that paralyzes your muscles during dreaming so you don't act them out, persists after you've regained consciousness. You're awake. Your brain knows it. Your body hasn't gotten the signal to unlock yet. That lasts anywhere from seconds to a couple of minutes. It feels much longer. The presence is the part nobody is prepared for. A significant percentage of people who experience sleep paralysis also report the feeling of a figure in the room, watching, sometimes pressing on the chest, occasionally perceived as malevolent. This has been documented across cultures, centuries, and continents, which is why virtually every culture has a different name for the same experience. The old hag, the incubus, the shadow person. All sleep paralysis, the presence is generated by the brain's threat detection system. Paralyzed and unable to investigate, your brain concludes something must be causing the paralysis and generates a corresponding hallucination. Around 20% of people experience it at least once. It's not dangerous. It ends on its own. That doesn't make it any less awful while it's happening. Exploding head syndrome. You're almost asleep, and then an enormous bang goes off inside your head. Not a headache. Not a sound from outside. A loud crash, a gunshot, a cymbal smash that exists entirely inside your skull and jolts you fully awake with your heart pounding. Exploding head syndrome is real, it has a clinical name, and it affects around 10% of people. Despite how alarming it sounds and feels, it is completely harmless. The leading theory is that it's a glitch during the brain's shutdown process. As the brain powers down for sleep, it normally quiets sensory processing gradually. Sometimes that process misfires, and instead of a gradual fade, auditory neurons discharge all at once. Your brain interprets this as a massive sound. There's no actual bang, no physical event, just a mass of neurons firing simultaneously and your auditory cortex doing its job, which is to interpret neural signals as sound. It's more common during periods of sleep deprivation and high stress. Some people experience it rarely, once or twice in their lives. Others get it in clusters, several times a night for a period, and then nothing for months. It sounds catastrophic. It causes no damage. The only real problem is that once you know it can happen, falling asleep becomes slightly more nerve-wracking. Confusional arousals. Someone shakes you awake. You open your eyes, and for the next several minutes, you have absolutely no idea what's happening, where you are, or why the person in front of you is talking. Confusional arousals happen when someone is woken abruptly from deep, slow-wave sleep, the deepest, hardest to rouse stage. The brain comes partially online, but doesn't fully transition to wakefulness. The result is a person who appears awake, but is operating with severely impaired cognition and often no memory of the episode afterward. Behavior during confusional arousals ranges from quiet disorientation to agitation, aggressive responses, or saying things that make no sense, delivered with total confidence. Partners who have tried to wake someone in this state often describe it as alarming, like the person is there but completely unreachable. The episode typically lasts a few minutes. Occasionally longer. The person usually has no recollection of it the next morning. It's most common in children, which is why young kids can wake screaming in apparent distress and have no idea why in the morning. It also occurs in adults, particularly with sleep deprivation, alcohol, and irregular schedules. Like sleepwalking, it's a disorder of arousal. The brain gets partway out of sleep and gets stuck there briefly. Nocturnal leg cramps and myoclonus. Two different things, both happen while you're trying to sleep. Both are deeply unpleasant. Nocturnal leg cramps are involuntary muscle contractions, usually in the calf, that hit during sleep or the transition into it. They're sudden, they're painful, and they can last anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes. The muscle seizes, and the only way to resolve it is to stretch it out, which is difficult when you were just asleep. The cause isn't fully understood. Contributing factors include dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, prolonged sitting, overexertion, and certain medications. They become more common with age. Myoclonus is different. That's the sudden, brief, shock-like muscle jerks that can occur during sleep. Hypnic jerks are a form of this. But myoclonus can also present as repeated rhythmic twitching across a limb or the whole body. Sleep myoclonus in isolation is usually benign. Here's the thing. Both conditions interrupt sleep architecture, meaning even if you don't fully wake, the movement pulls you into a lighter stage. You can have dozens of these events per night without remembering any of them and still feel completely unrested in the morning. Your body kept waking itself up and you have no idea. Microsleeps. You're awake, and then for 2 to 30 seconds, you're not. And then you're back, and you have no idea it happened. Microsleeps are involuntary episodes of sleep that occur while a person appears to be awake. The eyes may be open, the person may be sitting upright. To an outside observer, they might look briefly zoned out. Internally, consciousness has simply vanished for a moment. EEG studies confirm it. The brain shows sleep stage activity, full stop, then returns to wakefulness. They're caused by sleep deprivation, and they are one of the most dangerous consequences of it. Microsleeps are responsible for a significant portion of drowsy driving crashes, industrial accidents, and medical errors. The person at the wheel doesn't feel tired. They don't realize they're impaired. They're just suddenly 2 seconds further down the road with no memory of the gap. The terrifying part is that you cannot detect your own microsleeps. By definition, you're unconscious when they happen. You only find out through external observation or the consequences. Studies on sleep-deprived individuals show microsleeps beginning after as little as 17 hours without sleep. That's not an extreme case. That's a long day. REM rebound. You've had a bad run of sleep, a few nights of too little or alcohol suppressing your dream cycles, or a medical reason your REM sleep has been cut short. Then you finally get a full, uninterrupted night, and the dreams are like nothing you've ever experienced. REM rebound is your brain catching up. When REM sleep is consistently suppressed or reduced, the brain accumulates a deficit. The moment it gets the opportunity, it dramatically increases the proportion of sleep spent in REM, producing longer, more vivid, more emotionally intense dreams than usual. This is why people who quit alcohol after heavy use report bizarre, overwhelming dreams in the first weeks of sobriety. Alcohol almost entirely suppresses REM. When it's removed, the brain goes into overdrive trying to recover what it lost. The same thing happens after any sustained period of poor sleep. The first good night hits differently because the brain is running the REM stage at elevated intensity. Dreams during REM rebound tend to be more emotionally charged, stranger, and more memorable than usual. Some people find them disturbing, others find them fascinating. Either way, they're a signal that your brain was running a sleep debt and it is now collecting. Night terrors. This is not a nightmare. A nightmare is a frightening dream that you wake from with memory of what scared you. Night terrors are something else entirely. They occur during deep, slow-wave sleep, not REM. The person appears to wake, sitting up, eyes open, screaming or crying, with a heart rate that can reach 180 beats per minute. Complete physiological panic, and they are essentially not conscious. You cannot comfort someone during a night terror in the way you would during a nightmare. They're not fully awake. They can't process your presence normally. Attempts to hold or restrain them can actually make the episode more intense. The standard guidance is to stay nearby, keep them from hurting themselves, and wait. The episode typically lasts between 30 seconds and 5 minutes. And here's the part that makes them so strange. When it's over, the person usually goes straight back to sleep. The next morning, they remember nothing. They're most common in children between 3 and 8, and most kids outgrow them. Adults who experience them are more likely to do so during periods of sleep deprivation, stress, fever, or when sleeping in unfamiliar environments. The person inside the terror is in extreme distress. They have no memory of it whatsoever. Both of those things are true at the same time. Sleepwalking. The brain is capable of navigating your home, unlocking doors, preparing food, and in some documented cases driving a car, while the person doing all of it is completely asleep. Sleepwalking is a disorder of arousal, the same family as confusional arousals and night terrors. It happens during deep, slow-wave sleep when the brain partially activates the motor system while consciousness remains off. The result is purposeful-looking movement with no awareness behind it. Sleepwalkers are not acting out dreams. That's a common misconception. Dream enactment happens in REM. Sleepwalking happens in slow-wave sleep when dreaming is minimal. Whatever the sleepwalker is doing, it's not connected to a dream narrative. The brain just started doing something. Episodes range from sitting up in bed to full complex behaviors lasting several minutes. The person typically has no memory of it. They can appear awake to an observer, their eyes may be open, they may respond to simple instructions, but they are not there. The old advice about not waking sleepwalkers being dangerous is mostly myth. Waking them can cause brief confusion, but it's not harmful. The real risk is that they'll injure themselves navigating an environment without full awareness. Lucid dreaming. At some point during a dream, something clicks. You realize you're dreaming, and then you're awake inside it. Lucid dreaming is the state of being conscious and aware within a dream. It occurs during REM sleep and has been scientifically confirmed through a neat trick. Researchers asked participants to signal when they became lucid by moving their eyes in a pre-agreed pattern. The eye signals, one of the few things not paralyzed during REM, appeared in the EEG record at the exact moment participants reported becoming conscious in the dream. It's real. The brain is simultaneously in REM sleep and aware of that fact. Around 55% of people report experiencing at least one lucid dream in their lifetime. Regular lucid dreamers, people who experience it frequently and with control, are far rarer. The experience varies widely. Some people simply become aware they're dreaming and observe. Others achieve significant control over the dream environment, essentially generating any experience they want. The degree of control varies by individual and by practice. There are established techniques for inducing it. Reality testing during waking hours, checking your hands, or reading text repeatedly throughout the day. Wake back to bed, where you sleep for a few hours. Wake briefly, then return to sleep to enter REM more directly. MILD technique, setting a mental intention to recognize the dream state before falling asleep. It's the one glitch on this list you might actually want to have.